the mess.
In the early 2010s, a small silver cube promised to change the future of gaming. It wasn't made by Sony, not by Microsoft, not even by Nintendo. It was called the OUYA. Back in 2012, the OUYA appeared on Kickstarter with a bold vision, a $99 console that anyone could develop for, powered by Android. No license fees, no expensive development kits, just freedom, creativity, and accessibility. Within days, the idea caught fire, backers poured in, and by the end of the campaign, the OUYA had raised over $8.5 million, making it one of Kickstarter's biggest successes at the time. But as the saying goes, what comes around goes around. When the OUYA finally launched in 2013, reality set in. The hardware was small and sluggish as it was, it just felt underpowered. And while the controller, it was just straight out laggy and cheap. Oh yeah, and the most important part, what about the games? Most games were mobile titles hastily ported over to the big screen, lacking the depth players expected from a home console. What a disaster. And well, the developers, they were very frustrated as well. Despite the promise of an open platform, the OUYA store was poorly curated, the revenue was low, and audiences quickly moved on. And by 2015, just 3 years after its incredible debut, the OUYA servers finally went offline. The dream of a revolutionary indie console had finally come to an end. Still, the OUYA had left its mark. It inspired discussions about open development and accessibility within the gaming scene. It showed that players wanted alternatives and that they believed in small teams and big ideas. While the OUYA itself faded into tech history, its spirit lived on in the indie game revolution, in devices like the Nvidia Shield and the Steam Deck, and in every developer who still dares to build something new. And while the OUYA may not have changed gaming forever, it reminded us that sometimes even failure can move the industry forward. So on today's episode of Zenith, we're going to be building an OUYA, because I know that obscure hardware will eventually start getting expensive, and this is a topic that I feel like a lot more people should know about, as being able to take a piece of e-waste and turning it into a new console would actually be kind of cool. I mean, who wouldn't want a free gaming console?
The mess.
While you might think this is just a generic Rockchip RK3229 TV box from 2021, unfortunately you'd be heavily mistaken, because the problem with this is that it has a Wi-Fi chipset that is not standard to almost any Rockchip box for this CPU. This is a AP6330 chip, and yes, this is a Rockchip RK3229 with an AP6330 chipset. This handles the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, and it actually does have an FM receiver like built into the chip, but I don't know if it's actually like wired in between the actual traces to the actual board or not, and I don't know what app would actually even be able to use that, because I guarantee you there probably is not an app for that, for this chipset for mobile phone Android. This thing came with Android 7.1, and as I'm saying this right now, there is only one ROM on the internet. I have backups of this box because I do have a few other of these around, because, you know, I don't want these boxes just to one day die, because that would just be terrible. But yeah, so basically you can't put this box on any other ROM basically and have Wi-Fi work, even if you use the USB dongle, because while you can get up to like Android 10 or 11, Android TV version, it'll just bypass whatever Wi-Fi you put in it, whether it's compatible or not, and it will go straight to a driver which for a Wi-Fi chip that isn't even here. And that just sucks. And while you can run Libre like with the USB Wi-Fi dongle and it will run great, that's not the point of this video. And I also want to mention Armbian. Do not run Armbian on this. This is like the worst way to run Armbian ever on anything. This thing, it takes minutes to get into the desktop. Do not do that. It's just that bad. But now that we know what chipset we have and like everything that's in this box, now we can get on to the project. So we're gonna be taking this and we're gonna be turning we're going to be taking this box and we're going to be turning it into an OUYA machine. The idea is that because the OUYA was made in 2013, this nugget made in 2021 should just be able to run those games without a problem, considering that technology has advanced significantly in the last decade. So let's get started.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
Alright, so now we're going to navigate onto the computer and go to the link in the description, and we're just going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the web page. Now you're going to need to download this link, this link, this link, and this link, and you ideally want to put it into its own folder. So let's do that over here. Alright, so now that we have these APK files downloaded, we also need to go to the other link in the description, and now we should be able to scroll down to here, and you want to right click on this OUYA config.properties file, save link as, and then you want to put that into the OUYA folder, and then make sure that you change the text file description to all files, otherwise this will not work. Alright, and now you're going to want to open this config properties file, and you're going to want to open it with a text editor. And now what you need to do to make sure that this works is you need to type debug equals 1. Let me just make this bigger so you can see it. Okay, so make sure that this file contains this, and it also contains debug equals 1. You need to have debug equals 1 to make sure that it enters debugging mode, so that it bypasses the compatibility checks so that the launcher actually opens. This line sets it to the revival server on like the launcher, what it's looking for, and this just is for API status, which it needs in order to be set up. So now what we're going to want to do is save this file. We want to close this out, and we're going to want to navigate to a flash drive. You are going to need a flash drive for this. So we're going to take out our flash drive. We're just going to drag and drop this OUYA folder onto the root of the flash drive. Alright, so now you want to safely eject your flash drive, and you want to stick that flash drive into the TV box, and I will continue from there. What we're going to want to do is navigate to the OUYA folder we just copied over from our flash drive. So make sure we copy this OUYA config.properties file, as this file tells the OUYA app to use the revival server, as the original one's been shut down for a very long time. So now that we copied this file over, we're going to go back into the OUYA folder, and we're going to make sure that we install every APK in that folder. These APKs are necessary to make sure that the OUYA apps function correctly. So as you can see, I am installing these apps. Alright, so now that we installed the apps and we copied the OUYA config file, we want to press our home button. If you want to use the OUYA launcher by default, you can. However, I prefer not to because it isn't great for that. So I'm just going to choose my launcher as the current launcher. Okay, so now you're going to see that we have two new apps on the home screen. You have OUYA and OUYA launcher. What we're going to do is we're going to open up OUYA first, and then once we get into this screen, we're going to want to press the home button, and we're going to want to uninstall that app. Okay, so now we're going to want to open up the OUYA launcher app, and now we're back in where we're at. So now you can make a new account, but I highly suggest you don't. because it tells you to just use to use an existing account, and you can put anything in here. It does not matter. It will still go through. And then what you need to do is you need to make sure at this point that you have a controller. If you do not have a game controller, this will not work with the menu. So now that we have the OUYA launcher set up, I'm going to be showing you some of the cool games that we have. In conclusion, I'd heavily recommend trying this out because there's a lot of these boxes just struggle to run really anything nowadays, and being able to see it run a lot of games so well could definitely bring a lot of life into these old boxes. Anyway, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to push out content on a lot more regular basis. I'm planning to upload every weekend if you haven't already got the memo with that. Anyway, bye!
We miss